And welcome back, everyone, as we continue our journey through the world of X4 Fluke Mobile. Now it's time to move on to the section of dealing with assets. So, once again, I've got my handy dandy iPad here, and I'm going to put the video over there so you guys can see it. Again, my name's Tom. Welcome back. Let's continue this journey. So, number one, on the screen now, you see X4. And there's our GT350R. Because in a minute, we're going to come back to this. And I'm going to show you something that we can do that's very unique to Fluke Mobile X4. So first, we're going to do something by clicking on Assets here to see what we've got. Now, as you can see, we have Asset ID, Asset Description, and then the Search button. We're going to use the barcode feature because we have those, but we could also search by the ID. Again, you need at least 2 characters before you click the search button. It'll pull back any information you have. But we are going to use the barcode since we do have that. There's our 350R. Click search. Now, because we have 2 GT350Rs, they both contain 350R in the description, or in the asset ID rather, so they both show up here. Because what's better than 1 GT350R? 2 GT350Rs. So let's click into the first one, and here's what we've got. We have the details, documents, asset parts, and monitoring points. So let's take a good look at those, and also work order history. First, we have our asset details. It's a GT350R, and the description says Ford GT350R-01. You could add more things here if you would like through form design, but this is the bare minimum we have going on here. Next, we're going to look at the documents. In this case, we have 2 documents that are associated with this asset. We have a picture, so we can click the picture and see it. There's our 350R. And click Done. And we also have a supplemental manual that we can click and check it out. And then click Done when we're finished with that. Like I said before, make sure that if you know you're going to be offline to do this work, so let's say the 350R was out on the track and the track has no Wi-Fi, and I knew I had to do this work order for it, I would want to download these documents first if these were on a work order. So if these were work order documents, I would need to download them first. Then I can go off Wi-Fi and the documents would be here and everything would work fine. I can also add more documents here by clicking the plus button, and I could either add, if I click Browse, I could add a document from my iPad itself, or I could take a photo. There's a pretty one we can add there. And click Use Photo. And now that photo is going to be attached to the asset as well. Attach file. There we go. So one more thing we can do here is we can look at the asset parts. Any part that's ever been used on this asset will show up here. So far, the only part that we've used is the motor oil 5W50 in a quantity of 10. Again, any part that's ever been used will be here. The last thing, which is pretty interesting in my opinion, is monitoring points. In X4 Fluke Mobile, we can do condition monitoring. So what I've done, and I'm going to show you here on the Fluke Mobile side first, then I'll switch over to the eMAint and show you that. But it's just a temperature, engine oil. What I would do is I would enter a reading here. Let's say it's 245. And save that reading. So now it says the last reading was 245, and I can add another reading right now. On the eMAint side, let's take a minute and look over there, or up here to the eMAint side. Let's take a look at that asset, the 350R. I have here a record tab called Monitoring Points. And this will show all of the times we've added monitorings to this asset. There's the one that I just did on today. 245 was the reading. Now, what we've got here is through condition monitoring, which is another topic in and of itself in X4, we can set thresholds. I have a lower bound of 190, so it tells my technician, at least get the motor oil to 190 before you go crazy. And I have a upper bound of 260 because motor oil will start breaking down at about 275 degrees, starts to boil. So if it's above 260, this is going to trigger a work order telling you that the engine oil got too hot. So maybe if that's the case, you might want to change that oil if that happened during a track session or whatever you might be doing. So what would happen here is if I did a reading, I'm going to switch right back to the iPad. If I did a reading here of something higher than 260, let's try 280. It got really hot. And I saved that reading. Let's go back to eMAint and see what happens. So I'm back in eMAint now. I'm going to refresh this guy here to get that reading of 280. So there's my reading of 280. Let's see if that triggered any work orders. It should have. And it did. Look at that. The very top work order says ICM GT350R01 monitoring exceptions. So there's our work order telling us that the oil is too hot. Also, what you can do is you can set the condition monitoring reading to send you an email if an exception occurs. This is an example of what that email is. It says external temperature exception report. There's a picture of Nick Cage telling you that you have exceeded your temperature of 280. I put that photo in there's a place in the settings where you can add a photo. I just thought it would be funny to have him telling me that temperature was exceeded, since it is a Mustang and he's known for Shelby. So that tells you it's 280, too high. So those are two things you can do with eMAint X4 and Fluke Mobile. Let's finish this up by one more thing. So we're going to go back to the iPad if we're not already there now. We're going to go back to our details, and we do need to click in here and get our asset back. So I'm going to type in GT, hit search. There's our 350R again. And the last thing we're going to look at is the work order history. We can click that and see all of the work orders that were done for our GT350R, at least the number one. So there's our monitoring exceptions, what was just made. It's in progress. We have changed tires. All these say in progress. There's a closed one. And the rest are all in progress. As you can see, all of the work orders that have ever happened for this particular asset we have right here. And the question you're probably asking yourself is, hey, Tom, can I click into those and see what they look like? You absolutely can. So you can click into it, look at the procedures that were used, any documents that might have been needed, part charges for this one, labor charges, and if you need to, the assignments as well. So you can click in all that detail for those work orders. The cool thing is, in my opinion, is you can go up to an asset, scan that barcode with your iPad, click work order history, and see all the work orders that have been done on it. And if you want to know the details, click in there and see the details. All right, the last thing we could do is we could hit the plus button here, and we could create a work order off of this asset. So it's kind of cool that you can do that right there. I've already showed that to you in the last video, so I'm not going to duplicate that here. So that's what we have for you today. We have shown you how to deal with assets in X4 Fluke Mobile by using the barcode feature or typing in the asset ID, at least 2 characters. You can also do the description. Once you get in there, I've shown you how to go ahead and look at all of the things we can see. The documents, asset parts, and monitoring points. So that concludes this video. Stay tuned for the next one as we continue down our learning path of X4 Fluke Mobile. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.